Do you start from the happening artist?
I do, yes.
What can we expect?
The house is right here. Yeah.
Chris Miller.
Oh, sorry.
Good to meet you.
How are you?
Good to meet you.
What's your name?
Chris Miller. We actually met on a more.
I think we did, yes.
I was working there. What were your thoughts when you got cast in the movie?
Well, it was a fast and furious meeting. I was doing press for Tamara Drew in Los Angeles and New York, and then on the way back to Germany, where I was shooting The Musketeers, I stopped in London for a day to meet James, the director. And so it was a fast, quick in and out. The meeting went very well. I love James, and then I heard when I go back to Germany that I got the role. It was great. I mean, it was it was a brilliant script. It didn't really need much tweaking, which is always nice when you get a script. You just don't see any problems with it. And then obviously they cast everybody, and it was very exciting to start it. And so I went straight from Musketeers, from playing a musketeer to playing a detective inspector from the 17th century to the 19th century overnight.
Very good. Very good. And can you tell us a little bit, just briefly, what the movie's about and what works of Poe's are kind of influenced in the movie?
The works of Poe. No, I'll tell you what the story's about first. It's about. I play a detective called Detective Fields, who investigates a murder at the beginning of the film. And he sees the crime scene, and somehow it reminds him of a murder. And he doesn't know why. And then he realizes, he does some investigating, he realizes he's read this story, this exact murder, in a newspaper. It's written by this writer he's never heard of, called Edgar Allen Poe. He obviously reads more of his work and realizes this detective, he's not interested in people who are entertained by this dark side, you know. He tries to clear up this dark side. He doesn't want, you know, it's murder. It's not a detective, he's not interested in seeing the entertaining side of it, but whereas Poe was. He brings Poe in, and what unfolds is this very tempestuous relationship between the detective, who's like they're like black and white, the complete opposites of the scale. You know, he's an alcoholic, he's an opium user, he's a ladies' man, he's all of these things. I'm very business orientated. I'm a young detective. You know, I'm trying to just go up the ranks in the Baltimore police force, and they're forced to work together to find the serial killer who is inspired by Poe's works. The second question you asked is the Poe's works that are inspired in the film are Telltale Heart, Pit and the Pendulum, which is incredibly graphic. You see a little teaser of it in the trailer. Mysteries of the Rue Morgue, and of course The Raven. It was really, really great to shoot the movie. I mean, it's quite dark, you know. Poe, for his time, his writings were like a guilty pleasure of the upper classes. They used to read them, and because they were in newspapers, they could get away with reading these stories without people knowing. But yeah, I mean, it's a really good representation of. John does such a great job playing Poe. You know, he really encapsulated all those raw emotions that Poe experienced in his life, constantly till his death. You know?
And why is Poe such an important historical figure? Kind of, you know, why is he so important in our society?
He's the godfather of science fiction. He's the godfather of crime, murder stories. He wrote all the originals. And unfortunately, he was never really appreciated to the level he's appreciated now until after his death, which happens to a lot of famous people, geniuses in the world. You know, Van Gogh died a pauper. You know, all these people. And there's some fantastic biographies. I read a great biography about Poe called A Life Cut Short by Peter Ackroyd, and it really gives you a feeling for the life he lived. And it just was like downhill all the time, just climbing up hills all his whole life, but he never gave up. It's quite inspiring, you know, as a human being. But I guess that's why he's earned his place in history. And also, you know, his books, his stories are fantastic. His poetry is what I love the most. I love the poetry.